Welcome to Q&A, Social Security Disability Today. This program is brought to you by the Reeves Law Firm, representing you and your Social Security and disability needs. If you have a problem or questions regarding Social Security and disability, call attorney Anthony Reeves. Here's your host, attorney Anthony Reeves.
Does it matter what type of doctor I go to see for my physical problems? That's a very good question. And it really does to a degree. Let me tell you why I say this. Let's start with a basic premise. Almost every medical condition that you have out there probably has some specialist attached to it. And typically in most situations, you don't normally get associated with a specialist unless it's of a particular severity. Now, keep in mind, you got your two different programs, your HMOs and your PPOs. And I think if I remember correctly, under your HMO programs, you typically have to go through your primary care, which is like a gatekeeper, and then they refer you to a specialist. Where in the PPO, you could actually start with a specialist if that's where you're having a problem. I say that to say this. It's kind of tough because if you're getting treatment from the health department or low-income health care, you may not have the luxury of going to a specialist for all of your physical conditions. But the reality is that as that condition gets worse, you being elevated to that does have some significance. Now, I don't want anybody to think because, oh my gosh, I got a heart problem, I have a cardiologist, I'm a slam dunk. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that in most instances, when looking at your condition, typically Social Security gives greater weight to a treating physician who is a specialist, especially if you're going for a longitudinal period of time. So let's give it a good example. Let's say you're going to a regular doctor, a general doctor, for chest pains. So, they give you a little bit of medication and go about your merry way. You're still having problems with chest pains. But for some odd reason, even though the doctor is prescribing you medications for chest pains, he is not referring you or she's not referring you to a cardiologist. Now, that may be based on one or two things. It could be based on the fact that they have nobody they can refer you to that you can afford to go see. It could also be based on the fact that a reviewing of your medical records, they determine that your condition is not of such a severity where you should need to go to a cardiologist. But I will tell you this, going to a cardiologist is a little bit more helpful. And let me tell you the other reason why going to a specialist is sometimes good. Because when you're going to a specialist, they are looking at things a little bit differently. Because remember, in a normal circumstance, when you're going to an internal medicine doc, they're the gatekeeper. They're the ones who are checking out everything. So if you got a problem with your knee, ankle, back, breathing, headache, everything, they're taking note of all that. If something is so severe or is raised to a level where they have a concern that maybe it needs more specialized care, going to a specialist helps you because going to that specialist, they're going to probably take a little bit more extra steps than the general doctor is. Now, that's not to say that an internal medicine doctor is not going to take extra steps. But remember, with the for instance, like I said with the cardiologist is not going to care about your back or your knee or anything like that. Or, or you around here talking about my face itch. You're there because your heart is a problem. So they may schedule you for an echo or an EKG or a catheterization because they're looking a little bit more invasive. But it's those additional invasive procedures and objective testing they're doing, which not only will help them determine how severe your condition is, it also serves as additional evidence for Social Security. So if you can get associated with a specialist, that's great. But I will tell you this. Again, when looking at the total picture of your condition, the type of doctor you go to see for your condition tells a lot about the severity of your condition.